Right, stop doing what you don't want to do. Now, this is an interesting one. This is an interesting kind of mindset shift that I believe can have a big impact. It's certainly one that I've thought about for quite a long time, and I've made kind of little changes in it over the years, like slowly progressed to stop doing things that I don't want to do. I always found myself setting goals constantly. I'd always be setting goals, but I always found myself constantly changing my mind, constantly giving up on a goal, unable to stick at a goal, be persistent, and then I'd change and set a new goal, and then sometimes, literally within like half an hour, I'd change a goal again. I just couldn't seem to decide. I couldn't stick to a goal and really commit to it. And one of the reasons why I think this was the case was that I was very much a people pleaser. Very much, I did things just to please people or just to make sure there wasn't any disagreements or arguments. I was very much one who would say yes to most anything that people would ask me to do. Now, what I felt like this did to me was it created like a negative thought loop in my brain. Whenever I said yes to something which I knew deep down within my own mind I didn't want to do, it creates like this negative cycle of just negative thoughts where you end up kicking yourself, you end up thinking badly of yourself, you end up losing your confidence, your self-belief. You get this kind of weird knottish type feeling in your stomach or in your, you just feel it in your body, you just feel like there's something off. You feel like you can't almost like lied to yourself because you've suppressed your own thoughts. You've restrained yourself. And I read before, like quite a while ago, that there is quite a lot of studies and famous psychologists in the past have said that a lot of mental illness is usually caused by mental suppression or suppressing your own thoughts or feelings. Usually that is what causes most mental illnesses. And I noticed my mind like warping or like separating into two. So I'd have the part of me in my own mind that knew what I wanted to do, or rather knew what I didn't want to do. And then there was the outside part of me, the acting part of me that would do things, say yes to things that I didn't want to do. And there was kind of like a separation that happened in my brain over consistently doing this over time. And it led to just constant negative thoughts, constant like berating myself, constant putting myself down in my own head, my own self-talk. It led to like anxiety, depression, a lot of stress, a lot of tension in my body. But it took me a long time to realise like what was actually causing all this tension and anxiety and stress. It was because I was living a lie. I was lying to myself. I was constantly saying to myself that I didn't want to do it, but then I would express that to others completely opposite to what I was thinking. It literally changes your brain, like your brain adapts to this kind of process, because what it does is it quietens your truthful thoughts in a way. So your true authentic feelings and emotions and thoughts in your brain, the more and more that you ignore that, the more and more you repress that, the more and more you suppress it, it almost in a way shrinks that part of your brain. It quietens that part of your brain to eventually till you get to the point where you struggle even to hear your own authentic thoughts anymore. So this is why I couldn't really decide what it was that I wanted to do with my life. I couldn't really decide what goals I wanted to set. I was constantly changing my mind because my brain had adapted so much to this kind of thought pattern that 99% of my thoughts or 95% of my thoughts throughout the day were about others, about pleasing others, about what others were thinking, as opposed to thinking what I wanted. So of course that part of my brain was quiet. Of course I struggled to figure out what I wanted to do because my brain's area, or the area of my brain where my true authentic thoughts came, was smaller, had shrunk, had quietened, so it was much harder to hear. Now, what's the worst that can happen if you say no to someone? That's what I kept asking myself. Like, once this realization came to me, once I learned about this, I'd slowly try to incorporate it. And I thought to myself, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if I say no to someone that I may have an obligation towards, or I've done something repeatedly over time, even though I don't want to do it, or just say no to someone that really wants me to do something but I don't want to do it? What's the worst that can happen, really? Well, I thought to myself, the worst that could happen is they just get really annoyed and stressed and like argue with you or kick off with you or something. But then I thought to myself, well, why is that my problem? Surely that's their problem. If they kick off or get annoyed at me for me deciding to not do something that I didn't want to do, what does that say about them? That says to me that you don't really want those type of people in your life because they clearly don't care about you anyway. If someone gets annoyed at you because you don't do what they want you to do, or they get annoyed at you because you don't want to do something, that means they don't care what you think, they just care what they themselves think. Now, do you really want someone like that in your life that doesn't care about what you think at all? They should respect what you think. If they treat you with so much lack of respect that they don't care what you think, they just expect you to do things for them, then really you don't really want to be around those people that often. You don't really want those people in your life. Or you'd really just, if you still want to have them in your life, say if they're your family member, friends, then just tell them, just be more respectful. Now, what will happen when you start saying no, like making the default answer to people asking you for obligations or responsibilities or things to do, when you just say no as your default answer? Well, what happens is you learn to respect yourself again. Your belief in yourself, your self-belief starts to improve. Your confidence comes back because your brain is noticing that you're embracing who you are. You're accepting who you are. You're accepting the honest thoughts that come to your mind. You'll have more energy. You'll be more relaxed. You'll feel more freedom on a day-to-day basis. You'll be less anxious, less stressed, because you are following the truth in your own brain. There's that feeling again that I mentioned within your own body. It's kind of in your brain, but it's also in your body. You feel it in your body when you say something that's not quite truthful. There's kind of like a disassociation, kind of like a weird, like kind of a knottish feeling, I think, where you know what you're saying is a lie. But when you start being honest and saying no, it boosts your confidence, it boosts your self-respect. You put your chest out. You think you accept yourself more. And when you accept yourself more, when you believe in yourself, that really opens up the rest of your life. Ultimately as well, that part of your brain where your true authentic thoughts come through, the true honest thoughts come through, will become louder again, and the more like suppressive, dishonest thoughts or actions will start to quieten. So your real honest desires, emotions, feelings will become louder. So again, you will end up, as they say, knowing thyself more. And when you know thyself more, then you know eventually over time what you actually want to do. Then you will stick to your goals. Then you won't change your mind because you know deep down what you really actually want to do. So make it one rule. It won't be easy at first. It'll feel uncomfortable. Small progress is still progress. Don't focus on what you want to do. Just start with the idea of stop doing what you don't want to do, and more of what you want to do will come to the fore as there is more space and time for your honest self to come through. Right, again, thanks guys for watching. I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed this video for more self-improvement videos. I would greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to making more.